My grandmother left us a $50 storage unit that nobody wanted. The family said, just let it go to auction, but I decided to check it out one last time. What I found inside turned our family from middle class to millionaires overnight. Hi, I'm Tyler, and today I'm sharing the treasure hunt that changed my life forever. My grandmother Betty was 87 when she passed away 3 months ago. She was a sweet old lady who lived very simply. Coupon clipping, bargain hunting, never threw anything away. We all thought she was just barely getting by on her Social Security. After the funeral, we were going through her belongings when my uncle found a key taped under her kitchen drawer. It had a tag that said, "You store it unit 247, $50 a month." My family was exhausted from funeral arrangements and honestly, pretty broke from all the expenses. My cousin said, "It's probably just old furniture and junk. Let's just stop paying and let them auction it off." But something about that hidden key bothered me. Why would Grandma Betty hide it? Why pay $50 every month for 15 years for junk? I calculated she'd spent $9,000 keeping whatever was in there. That seemed like a lot for someone on a fixed income. Against my family's advice, I drove to U-Store it the next weekend. The manager, an older guy named Frank, remembered my grandmother well. "Betty was one of our longest customers," he said, walking me to Unit 247. "Paid cash every month like clockwork. Never missed a payment in 15 years. She was very particular about this unit, always came alone, never let anyone help her." When Frank rolled up that metal door, my heart sank. The unit looked like every other storage space I'd seen on TV shows. Boxes, old furniture, random household items covered in dust. Nothing looked valuable. "Told you it was junk," I muttered to myself. But I'd driven 45 minutes, so I figured I might as well look around. The first few boxes were exactly what we expected. Old books, kitchen supplies, Christmas decorations from the 1980s. Then I found something odd. A small metal filing cabinet, locked tight, hidden behind her old dining room table. The key that opened it was taped to the bottom of the cabinet. Inside were 3 folders that would change everything. The first folder contained documents I didn't understand. Stock certificates, bonds, something called bearer bonds from the 1960s and 70s. My grandmother's name was on everything, but the dollar amount seemed impossible. The second folder had photographs of jewelry, rings, necklaces, bracelets, with handwritten notes describing each piece. One note read, "Grandmother's wedding set. Appraised 1987, $45,000. Another said, "Father's railroad watch, 1924, museum quality." But the third folder, that's when I realized my sweet, coupon-clipping grandmother had been keeping secrets for decades. It contained a letter addressed, "To my family, when I'm gone," and a small wooden box I hadn't noticed before. Inside that box was the most beautiful jewelry I'd ever seen. Pieces that looked like they belonged in a museum. The letter explained everything. "My dear family, I know you think I'm just a poor old lady, but I've been saving and investing since I was 16 years old. My parents lost everything in the Great Depression, and I swore that would never happen to our family again." She had been quietly buying stocks, bonds, and precious items for over 60 years. Every time she used a coupon or found a deal, she took the money she saved and invested it. That $50 storage unit held the financial security she'd built for us in secret. Following the letter's instructions, I contacted the appraiser she had recommended, a man named Robert Chen, who had been valuing her items for 20 years. "I've been waiting for this call," he said when I explained who I was. "Betty told me her family would find me eventually. She was one of the smartest investors I ever knew." The next week, Mr. Chen came to the storage unit with his equipment. What happened next was like winning the lottery. The jewelry alone was worth $800,000. Pieces that looked like costume jewelry were actually vintage items from famous designers. That railroad watch from her father, it was a Patek Philippe worth $150,000 by itself. But the real treasure was in those stock certificates. My grandmother had been buying shares in companies like Apple, Microsoft, and Coca-Cola before anyone knew they'd become giants. She'd held on to everything for decades, never selling, always reinvesting dividends. Your grandmother was worth approximately $2.8 million, Mr. Chen told me, showing me his calculations. She lived like she was poor, but she was actually quite wealthy. I called my family immediately. My uncle, who had wanted to abandon the storage unit, cried when I told him. My cousins said Betty was the smartest person any of us ever knew, and we never realized it. The most incredible part wasn't the money. It was learning who my grandmother really was. We found journals in that storage unit dating back 50 years, documenting every investment decision, every financial move. She wrote, "Bought 100 shares of IBM today for $47 each. The family thinks I'm wasting money, but I believe in technology." That investment alone was worth $180,000 when we found it. Another entry from 1980. "Everyone says I'm crazy for buying stock in this new computer company called Apple, but I've seen their machines. This is the future." She'd purchased 500 shares at $22 each. Do the math on that one. My grandmother hadn't been a poor old lady clipping coupons because she had to. She'd been a financial genius pretending to be poor because she wanted to leave us something incredible. The storage unit also contained letters to each grandchild explaining her investment philosophy and why she lived so simply. Mine said, "Tyler, I hope you learn that real wealth isn't about spending money. It's about having choices. I lived below my means so you could live above yours." 3 months later, our entire family's life has changed. We discovered that Grandma Betty had left detailed instructions for how to handle her fortune responsibly. Part of the money went to paying off everyone's debts, mortgages, student loans, credit cards. Another portion was invested exactly as she'd taught us, continuing her legacy of smart financial planning. But the most beautiful part was her final instruction: use some of this money to help other families the way I wish someone had helped mine during the Depression. We've started a scholarship fund in her name and helped several neighbors through financial emergencies. Grandma Betty's secret fortune has become a source of generosity that keeps giving. The storage unit key that almost got thrown away, I keep it on my keychain now as a reminder that the most valuable things in life are often hidden in plain sight. My grandmother's $50 storage unit taught me that you never really know someone completely. This woman I thought lived paycheck to paycheck was actually building generational wealth through decades of quiet discipline and smart investing. If you have elderly relatives, spend time with them. Ask about their lives, their stories, their wisdom. You might discover that the person you think you know has been hiding incredible secrets, not to deceive you, but to surprise you. And if someone in your family mentions an old storage unit, safety deposit box, or locked cabinet, don't ignore it. Sometimes the smallest keys unlock the biggest treasures. Share this story if it amazed you. And tell me in the comments, have you ever discovered something incredible in an unexpected place? Subscribe for more unbelievable true family stories, because sometimes reality is stranger and more wonderful than any fiction. Remember what Grandma Betty taught me. Real wealth isn't about what you spend. It's about what you save, invest, and leave behind for the people you love. That $50 storage unit turned into $2.8 million. But the real treasure was learning that my grandmother was a secret financial genius who spent 60 years planning the perfect surprise. Rest in peace, Grandma Betty. Your secret is out, and it's more beautiful than we ever imagined.